And welcome back. It's yet another podcast. We didn't get a chance to record last week. It was around Thanksgiving, so looks like we're covering two chapters today.
That we are.
Uh,
I'm Zill, and
Sal.
yeah, it sounds there, and you guys know who I am. Yeah, I am your Lord and High Master and guy controlling the recording.
also process of elimination in the video image. You know, the usual.
Right. Anyway, so let's see. Yeah, two chapters, 607 and 608. This is gonna be fun. Oh boy, I'm gonna load up some stuff. Uh, uh, so I guess we start off with, 607?
I feel like
With that really badass color picture of Ichibei?
hmm.
Bad
I
picture, man.
well, actually, I think we could cover like just we could actually just cover like both Ichiban and
Yeah.
Man. I think because like we've had two chapters, both of them doing stuff. And I feel that might be a little easier that way.
Yep. Remember,
So
Juju Man feels like $1,000,000.
that was so stupid. I didn't see that he's like coming from manga pen of all things. But
I liked one of their other things though. In today's they uh Panda had made a pen and sword joke.
yeah, I think Stream did as well.
No, they just kind of said like they couldn't, something about not telling the difference. But Manga Panda like specifically said pen and the sword,
Yeah. Oh
which
jeez.
that was at least
It's
decent because
clever. It's clever
cause,
Yeah.
cause
because
that's not some stupid slang like I feel like a million
no,
bucks. That's
it's
like
not.
that's
It
like
has
an old saying.
it
That's like
has
an old
a
phrase.
it has a Eastern connotation to it because in the way that they do things, especially when it comes to sword fighting, they say, the greatest calligrapher is also the greatest swordsman. So, it kind of actually blends very well together. I wonder if they were going to make that connotation when he released, and of course, it showed you that big ass brush that he has, calligraphy brush that he has, is actually a sword. It that's immediately what my mind went to. I don't know
Mm.
how
Yep.
many old school wire fu or 1970s kung fu things where, you have the guy, he's sitting there doing calligraphy and he's like supposed to be a great swordsman. And you're like, okay, why are you sitting here writing? He's like,
Uh,
this is the first part of going to that level. You got to do the writing before you become the swordsman.
wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
that was for as for karate, but same difference really. But let's see. I guess we'll go around usual order. Uh, I think that somehow Kubo's managed to turn one of the like most affable and jovial characters in the series into the most demonic ever in the span
Oh
of
God,
four
yeah.
chapters, which is quite the feat, as
Uh,
well as very well more badass than Yamamoto himself, I'd actually say.
I mean, for a while we were like, for a while we didn't even know what this guy did. He was just kind of this aloof fool,
Yeah,
and then we get him drawing kanji in the sky, and then he just becomes outright demonic, like with all sorts of crazy shit.
pretty much. And um,
And
oh
and,
well,
and, and we get an even more of actually controlling words and names. Like if it wasn't obvious before. Oh
yeah,
my god.
yeah. As soon as 64 came out, and I saw that one page of him like having this manic smile, I knew he was going to get darker, but I was not expecting like eyes rolled back, silhouette, um, white on black. I'm gonna kill you now, and stuff.
I
And
wasn't expecting him to be able to actually just say it no longer has a name. I
yeah.
mean, cutting the name in half was a bit of a ridiculous notion, but actually, like, not having a name.
I guess we have to change Jujuman's article now just a blank header. He has no name. The man formerly known as Yuhavok.
Let's not forget that Prince's name was once an unpronounceable symbol.
Yeah, I was gonna go for that actually. Damn it,
Oh god.
Scriff. But
No, no.
it's
See, clearly, when he cut his arm in half, he actually cut the kanji in half.
oh yes, Jesus. Oh God. But what I
And there's only
also
like half a kanji, or or only the top half of the word arm.
yeah, but what I
That
was
would have been
also
that would have been clever, like cutting the word, like cutting the letters all in half.
oh
That would have been a clever way to do the translation. Like you only see the top half of the words.
oh geez.
Would
Um,
have been that would have been much more clever than R.
R. But
R was stupid.
although I was kind of thinking that he might be like all Hakuda and like underneath his cloak he's got like a massively ripped body. He has been proven that he's really strong physically because he's overcome at least three different techniques now through just like physical strength, through like exerting his muscles and stuff, which is kind of funny given how like uh usually like people counter with keto or whatever, but no, he just flexes and it's gone, which is not very common in this series, I don't think.
Though, yeah, things are certainly becoming more fun,
Yeah,
very
and
fun.
also Ichimonji OP.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, we're talking about the head of the royal guard here.
yes, but I know, but like, it
He's got to be at least a little OP.
expected OP, but still OP. Like, good lord, it's crazy. Like, uh, I now I can only wonder what his Bonkai could possibly do if his Shikai is removing names. Can he like change names entirely to like?
Probably, I can imagine whatever his Bankai does would not be a good idea. I mean, we're talking how the head captain. I mean, one piece of his Bankai could burn through things just by touching them without leaving any trace. I don't want to know what Ichibe's Bankai can do.
I think you do deep down. We all do.
Okay, true.
Okay, well, that's my little spiel, and I do like that you are seeing like a legit challenge out of this, like because his only other fight has been him like getting overpowered once and then just kind of leaving, and now he's just getting like tossed around, getting like he's getting being brought down to like the lowliest possible level. It's very interesting how how like you gotta wonder how he's gonna get out of this because he's probably gonna get out of this, but how he could possibly do that. But yeah, that's my part. Sal, you want to go?
Well, I am enjoying these past two chapters mainly because it is giving me the opportunity to have my wish fulfilled that I've always wanted fulfilled on this last arc, which was basically seeing Zanpakutos. And I'm getting that in spades, not from the people that we've known for like past 10 years, which is kind of like irks me, but Zanpakuto nonetheless. And as I previously told you, I have viewpoints on some of these things. Um, you had brought up the point that Ichibe is kind of putting out this villainesque demeanor.
Yeah. As in, like,
Um,
someone who is foreign to the series could read this
what
chapter and might think he's a villain.
While I understand that point of view, what I would say is that what we're seeing is a very rarely used uh morality, matchup situation here. Now, obviously, he's the good guy and Box the bad guy. But as you said, somebody coming in wouldn't know the difference. But it's rarely why I say it's very rarely used is because you don't really see it too much in like shonen manga,
Yeah.
unless you're dealing with an anti-hero. The reason why this works so well is because first of all, the hero in this situation is Ichigo, and he's not an anti-hero type, so it wouldn't work for him. Whereas the Royal Guard aren't aren't beholden to those morals or those values, and on top of that, they're the Royal Guard. So if you look at the Go to 13 and you see them as being really aggressive and no having no qualms about killing people or doing whatever needs to be done because they get the bigger picture, unlike say Ichigo and friends,
Mm.
then the Royal Guard being above them is even a bigger grasp of the bigger picture. And not only that, but they can put themselves, just like Ichebe is done here, on the same level as meeting their opponent head to head, willing to do exactly what he's going to do just to win. They don't have no subordinates under the Royal Guard are just five of them. They have no subordinates underneath them. They don't have to worry about appeasing anybody or answering to anybody and stuff like that. Everything that they do is because it's necessary. You've come into their realm. You've come into the royal palace. Now that they do whatever they have to do to win, and if that means you may think, oh, this guy is a nice jovial guy and he's like Santa Claus and he's happy go lucky. To be fair, for the entire chapters that they have been fighting, Ichibe has given Bach multiple chances to just walk away. And it was only within, the past two chapters that, he just decided that, you know what? I'm just going to be keeping persistent and, doing what I want to do. I mean, even Bach even said it. Oh, I can take anything I want in this world. And Ichibe is like, yeah, it's not going down like that. So then that
Hmm.
you see that change come over him because he's like, the reality is, and I think we all seen this in both chapters, is that you don't know. You think you know because of who he is and where he's at and what side he's on, but you don't know anything about Ichibe. You don't know anything about the Royal Guard. You don't know what they're capable of. And Bach even notices that. I mean, you can see that in his facial expressions. Ichibe has been manhandling him up and down, Royal Palace for like the past couple of
I
chapters.
mean, what we know about the Royal Guard is essentially we know that the side they are on is that of the Soul King Palace.
Exactly.
That's the side they're on. I mean, we don't even know for sure. Can we even call them on the side of Soul Society?
Well, it's not their job to be worried about Soul Society.
Exactly,
They
exactly.
even
They've
said
actually
that.
said that.
They actually
Yes, they've
said that.
said it's not. So we can't really say. They're not. We're not really on. It's they're not on one side or the other when it comes to Soul Society or Quincy. They're on the third side.
Yes,
They're on their
because
own because their top priority
it's
is
the Soul King.
protect the
Yeah,
palace.
and the Soul King, as we have already been determined multiple times, is the thing, the axis upon which everything moves. They don't care about anything else but they're going making sure that the Soul King's will is done. And their job is to protect the palace, make sure nobody daggone goes anywhere that they're not supposed to be, and that's exactly what they're doing. So
But
him
here's the
changing
question
his
though.
mentality, you don't know whether that was like Unohana, you don't know whether that was his mentality first in the first place anyway.
Exactly. But the only thing with this is I have to wonder if all else fails and Bach gets past the Royal Guard. Like, let's say he actually does, hypothetically.
There's an inner royal guard.
Oh, it's
But
Dark
that's the.
Hananji.
Oh God, please no, please no. But let's just assume that that were to happen. I mean, we can't. Can we? We can't just assume that the Soul King can't do anything. He's got to be able to protect himself in some way.
Well, like I previously had stated in a podcast a while ago, there is got to be a defining reason for why somebody who is literally probably the most protected thing in the entire series. I mean, he's got 72 barriers between him and everybody else. You know,
Hmm.
he's in another dimension within a dimension. He's, got five of the most powerful Dagon Shinigami in existence, Dagon protecting him, and nobody ever hears anything about him or sees anything about him, but you can feel his influence in pretty much everything, even though
Which
you
makes it
don't know
seem,
it.
like if Buck actually came up to him and actually got that far,
It'd probably be the
it,
worst thing that ever happened to him.
I mean it
He
almost
probably got pimp
seems
slapped.
weird. It seems like it makes you wonder why he needs the protection. I mean,
It's the question about why you would need anything. I mean, look, this is the way it appears
I
to
mean,
me. They are literally their job at this point in the game is literally to slow his ass down in order for Ichigo to get there. Now,
right.
whatever form that takes, he get past him or not. I mean, we talk, constantly about whether or no is he OP. Well, look who he's fighting against. Every 5 minutes, Bach has a new daggone power just because. Like,
Right. I
it
mean, I
it
mean,
makes
here's
me it makes me cry for the days when Eisen was around because
Oh, come on.
oh god, oh god.
That's been
But
happening
I
like through the
have
entire series. All right,
But I
that
have
happens
I
all
I
the
have
time.
one I have one interesting theory. The reason why the Royal Guard is trying so hard to stop him because first of all, as we've said, it's quite possible that if Bach gets into like in front of the Soul King, he's going to be fucked. I mean, I mean,
they're
there's no way
doing
the
him a
Soul King
service.
would
They're
just.
trying to save him.
Oh yeah,
It's. I
we're here
think
to
it's
protect
more.
you.
I think it's more that if by some twist of fate Bach got into the palace. It's not that he'd be able to do anything, it's that something would happen from someone who's not supposed to be there being there. That
Exactly.
that it's not what Bach can do, it's about what can happen just if someone shows up at all.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. There's an obvious reason that the Soul King is kept very separate from everybody else. I mean, even in a regular situation, even if he was all that he is portrayed to be in the Bleach universe, he could have just been in an impenetrable palace protected by the royal guard within Cerate. Like the fact that that's not the case would lead me to believe that there is another reason behind why he has to be kept entirely separate. Because if
Yeah.
we have any indication is about what history we do know, nobody's never ever made a play, well in canon, nobody's ever made a play on Soul Society. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, surely in the filler arcs, yeah, plenty of times. But in, the actual manga written by Kubo, there has never been, even if they had it put it that way, then Aizen probably would have still had to do the same daggone thing in order to try to get a key base so he can get into the royal palace. Even if it was right there, but it was in reach, but you couldn't get into it. He probably had to do the same daggone thing. You could have had layers of barriers and stuff like that between the Soul Palace sitting right there in front of you. You can see it, but you just can't get past those barriers. But yeah, so
Mhm.
I would agree there's something else going on in that they, as the Royal Guard, are protecting, but probably not in the traditional sense of what we think they're trying to
Yeah,
protect.
it's not it might not necessarily be protecting the Soul King. It's probably protecting that area that he's in because I just have a feeling that if something that's not supposed to be there steps inside at all, it wouldn't surprise me if the
Waking a
entire
sleeping dragon, basic.
yeah, or if the entire balance of the world just went completely out of whack.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, the whole concept of the Soul Palace is kind of interesting. You have this one cylindrical building where the Soul King is, and then you have like these five huge floating plates with cities on them that each royal guard they're going, pretty much controls. And I'm just sitting there thinking like, well, that's an interesting concept. It looks cool, but what's the purpose of that? Why? And more importantly, if you're a royal guard, wouldn't you usually be in the presence of the royalty, the king or whatever, so you can actively protect them? The fact that they are apart from that and specifically kept apart in their own little cities, it's kind of like the same thing when you say, oh, the captain's going to the human world. They got to put limiters on and stuff like that, and there can't be a high concentration of them, or you could end up messing up the whole soul balance and everything, and everything goes foobar. It's like even the royal guard don't normally converge together in one place. They're separated by a couple of miles or whatever, and then they're separated from the Soul King himself, even though they're the ones in charge of protecting him. It's kind of like the very opposite of guarding.
Yeah,
They'll
Yeah.
guard you
one
from
thing
like
that
5 miles away.
one thing that we haven't seen in a while, but I do distinctly remember, is we've seen what happens when someone with extremely high Reiatsu comes anywhere near someone with a lot less. The person with a lot less can feel it essentially forcing them to the ground.
Yeah, like
Or
the
or they
now thing when
disintegrating.
he came. when
Well,
Yami looked
okay,
at
let's
her.
let's not talk about Aizen randomly passing by that one random dude on in Karakura Town.
Oh, I thought you were talking about us. Okay, never mind.
No,
Well, I,
but,
I mean, no, I mean, there's that, but other people
yeah, a
who
better
weren't.
example is when Yami gazed in Nanao's direction and she couldn't even breathe, let alone move.
Uh,
And
Or
Shinsuke had
when
to
Aizen
pick her up and
approached,
move her.
when Aizen approached Ichigo's school friends,
Right.
they were able to survive, but they were practically forced to the ground, or I think when they were first introducing Zaraki,
Oh yeah,
uh,
when they felt him
they
from
used
miles
that.
away.
yeah,
And they could essentially feel it forcing them down, sort of like some extreme effect on the gravity around them.
What I find
And
interesting is in this current chapter is that upon release, that Shikai of Ichibe's had no Retsu. Now, the last time we saw that concept was when Ichigo showed up to fight Aizen,
but
and
it's even but in that case, and actually, if I remember correctly, in that case, it wasn't that he didn't have any Reiatsu. It was that it was
so
too
condensed
much. It no,
or
or that it
something
was
like
so
that. Yeah.
high amount
yeah,
that Aizen couldn't even notice it anymore.
yeah, because it was
Like
on a
it was
dimension
so far,
above
it was
Aizen.
so far above Aizen that he
Yeah.
no longer had it.
So you know that everything operates on this. So the fact that the concept that you don't have any, therefore you don't sense it, so there's none. That doesn't make any sense. That's the thrown out concept. What I'm saying is exactly that.
Yeah, that this is what happening. That
Even Bach
Ichibe.
cannot sense the Ryetsu coming off of the Zanpakuto.
Yep.
So
Right.
that's a problem for him. And
That
I love his facial expressions, like what the
Yeah.
fuck? Every 5 minutes,
The,
I'm gonna
that
steal your power. Oh, that shit didn't work. Like
I
uh,
mean, this is a battle of the facial hair.
yeah. Really. Yeah. Beard versus Burns.
whatever that is.
Beard versus infinitely growing mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
And I mean it's priceless because like I said in my point of view there about the whole thing is that Bach is he's essentially out of his element here. As much as they may not know about him, he does not know anything about them. And he thinks, "Oh, I've got all this power. I can do all these things and stuff like that so I can overcome them." And they're just, they can't kill me, they can't stop me. Any power you take from me, I can just give back to myself. And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna take your power." And he's like, "Oh, that's funny. You did take my power, but it's not yours to take. You can't take it. You can't hold it. You can't use it." And then it's just like, "Oh, look, I've got my power back too," kind of thing. you know? So it's like you are meeting somebody. I think for the first time, he's probably meeting somebody he didn't expect to meet. And I think in general, the Royal Guard, even though for what we've seen, I think the general consensus, and I like the fact that Cooper was kind of doing this, is that at first I was kind of a little bit apprehensive because I'm like, what the hell is he doing? But I like the fact that he is showcasing them as more than just some Shinigami with some titles. That they are a step above, the likes of Byakuya and all of them because of their role. It's not simply, oh, I give you a title and that's what makes you important. No, it's like, yeah, these guys got their title for being something important to Soul Society, but they are what they are because the Soul King, I guess, you know, I don't know whether it's them themselves or something the Soul King put in them or what, because it seems like a lot, and you'd expect, oh well, what's going on. So I think it's kind of clear to me that at least I think all of them, bar Hikafune, is probably. I'm gonna just go and put my theory out there. I think all of them besides Hikafune is probably r- original members of Ultra 13.
Yeah. It's
Oh yeah,
yeah.
probably. Oh yeah.
Most definitely. I'd say.
Um,
That would not surprise me. Like I said, I still think the odd one out is Nemaya.
I don't
I mean, I'm
think
I'm not gonna kid you. He
he's
just he just
odd one
feels.
out. I think he may even predate that more so because everybody had to have a Zanpakuto. So he may have been just a simple, uh, sword maker before he's like, oh yeah, join us type situation. Because remember, it
Join
was just
us.
Yamamoto basically going around and just picking up people. That's how he got Unohana. She was a criminal before that. Everybody has a past so to speak, before they became whatever they became as far as the original Go to 13. Uetsu seems to have a very clear, important role. I don't know how far that role extends because, souls have to daggone go to, get taken to the afterlife. So you have to have a Zanpakuto. So that would stand to mean that he was there from the beginning. And Uetsu, I mean, and Ichibei is giving names, so he has to be there from the beginning. I don't know about, Shutara's thing, and then the fact that Shutara seemed to know Bach on some level, but Tanjiro didn't seem to know him like that. I mean, that doesn't really necessarily mean anything. It may have meant that he just never was face to face with him, didn't know him like that, never come, it. And I don't think any
Mhm.
of them. I think Shutara and maybe Ichibei kind of have been in his presence before, let alone, and everybody else may have not actually directly dealt with him, so they don't know. Because Uetsu
Mhm.
himself was like, I don't know what his powers are, but I'm gonna do this. But I think that there is a lot more to the Royal Guard outside of Ichibei, Uetsu and all of them. I think there's more to them than we have been shown, and you're probably gonna get to see. We're probably I've been waiting to see more of that because I really have a feeling that those elite guard that were resurrected, they might be getting the daggone wool pulled over their eyes again.
Probably, to be
Because
honest.
I noticed there was no Shutara in that situation.
Oh yeah.
And it seemed kind of odd for me, you know, Uetsu just standing there and he's just so oblivious to notice that, oh, this guy's going to shoot me. Oh, he shot me in my arm. And then, their thoughts were, oh, let's block this shot, even though Tanjiro is probably one of the fastest daggone people in Soul Society or amongst Shinigami, and he could have just picked Oetsu up and moved him himself with Shumpo. So it's kind of like weird to me that, oh, we're just gonna stand here and block this. Like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
seems like a
when you
setup.
put it that way,
It
absolutely.
seems
Yeah.
like a setup to me. It really
Yeah.
just does.
Also letting Nemaya die would just be the end.
The
Would just
Soul Society.
eventually be the end of Soul Society, which should defeat the purpose of defeating Juju Man in the first place.
Yeah, we could just kill the
So,
Royal Guard and that's it. Like,
yeah, it
it,
suck. But
it might
go.
be interesting to see those fights though.
Yeah, but to go back to like a way earlier point, we were talking about the morality of the Royal Guard and how they have a different purpose, a different goal, and thus they can act in different ways than regular Shinigami. I feel like Ichibei's current like expressions of morality are kind of like the logical extreme of the kind of gray morality of all the Shinigami. Because
Hmm.
a good, like, pretty much all of them, with, like, the exception of maybe, I guess, Ukitake and Komamura, all of them, like, have a good purpose of, keeping the balance, but all of them are generally have, like, dark themes about them or have, like, dark personality traits. Like, for example, there's Mayuri, who just blew up his own men and later massacred, like, 40,000 Rukongai civilians just to keep the balance. And there's Yamamoto, who is, like, used to be, like, a war criminal before he became that. And there's, of course, Unohana, who's just crazy. There's Kenpachi, who's crazy. Like, the list goes on and on. But
Well,
I feel like Ichibei is like the logical conclusion of that because like while he is trying to keep the balance, he's affable outside battle, but in battle he is insane. He's demonic. He's taunting. He's making death threats. He's sick burning. He has like these crazy facial expressions, and I feel like he's like the apex of like that gray morality of a nice guy who is just like downright cruel at times in battle.
well,
So
like I said, he's meeting Bach on his level, and it's something that even he didn't expect because Yamamoto basically over time had grown out of the concept of just ruthless all in type of mentality, whether that's a weakness or a strength. I mean, that's subjective. I mean, I don't, Bach thinks it's a weakness, so other people would think it was strength. That you can put that any which way, but there was always a gray area when it comes to them because it's not about hurting feelings and all that stuff. It's about simply keeping that balance and doing what's best to daggone maintain that balance. So yeah, they have a broader sense of the bigger picture than Soul Society. Soul Society can be rent asunder, and they'll be like, okay, well, we're gonna come down here, and this is what y'all need to do to fix all this, yada yada yada. We don't care nothing about any of that stuff because it's not our job to protect this place. It's yours, and it's our job to protect up there. So yeah, his mentality really did change. Whether I think he's insane or not like that, I don't think he's that insane. I think it's just very logical for him to actually just, go to that point. This is battle. Him sitting there joking around like, this is all good times and good fun, and I think all of the Shinigami actually have pretty much a certain side to them. As peace loving and simple and caring as Ukitake is, we know that he is not adverse to doing some kind of sneaky things in order to, do what needs to be done. He's not as overtly, harsh in it as say, yeah, Mayori, who's the stereotypical evil scientist who only cares about his work. And he's not, Kimpachi, who you would think, oh, his love for battle, even though he has a sense of honor and not taking out an enemy who can't defend themselves and stuff like that. You get all these different characters, you put them together, and you think, oh, everybody's happy-go-lucky and stuff like that. But the thing I think is very, very real and that you see throughout the series is none of them think like really. I mean, they after getting to know him, they start to see his point of view and understand it better, probably more so than they have in a long time. But for the most part, none of them really think on the very, I guess I would say limited viewpoint, like yeah, of someone in Ichigo's position. Because if you can remember throughout a lot of the series, Ichigo is all about, oh, I just want to protect my friends. Oh, I just want to protect Karakura Town. And everybody else is like, okay, well, this is more about your friends in Karakura Town. This is about, existence. Like he couldn't see past his own backyard. So, the fact that, he kind of gets involved in everything is kind of odd because, like even Eisen said, your family and your friends and stuff like that aren't in danger, so why are you here? Type of thing. And then he's like, oh, well, because you're doing bad things and stuff. I mean, he had to come up with a reason for like really being involved at that point. And the Royal Guard, they don't have that. Those, I guess, those pesky, human morals to daggone deal with. They try to be nice. They try to be approachable. They try to be civil and everything. And a lot of them are. And, I wouldn't say that jovial Ichibe isn't real. I would just say that there is the one that's reasonable, the side of him that's reasonable, and the side that you just pissed off.
Yeah,
Like
I'd say that's
when
accurate.
yeah, Yami himself was, very, simplistic old man, just wanted everybody to follow the rules and maintain order. But when you piss the old man off, off came the cloak and all the muscles and the scars and then the fire and then you were fucked. Like so, you know, there's I think I think everybody can agree. I don't care who you are. There's a line that you don't cross with people. Ichibe gave Bach multiple chances, and
Yeah.
he crossed that line. He, matter of
You
fact,
crossed the line.
didn't he draw a line? And Ichibe just says, "I'm going to cross it. I don't care." And I think the most telling thing about this is like really what is Bach's in game in this? Because for me, and I think I've been saying this for a while, he is, and I think it shows in his powers and the way he handles them. He is essentially a parasite.
Yep.
He, feeds off of what others have so he can have. And even the whole thing with him losing his powers and then, he doing the thing where he, brings his powers back. I mean, it kind of speaks to how his whole power situation works. He gives to other people. Initially it was, oh, I'm touching you and therefore I get something in return. And then, they end up dying early or whatever, and then the power comes back to him or whatever, and then he's got his senses and all this other stuff, and then he does the whole thing with the Stern Ritter, and it was kind of like, okay, now I see what's going on here. He said he gives the Stern Ritter their letters. They get power from that. They use their abilities, they hone them, they perfect them, and then eventually they die, or he Ash Wallens them, or
Hmm.
something like that, and he gets a whole subset of matured, cultivated power for himself to use, without having to sit there and, oh, I gotta work on this and build this up and perfect this. No, somebody else is doing that. And then you get to take it back from them and get all the benefits of
Pretty much, yeah.
it. Like, he is the ultimate in Parasite. He's essentially like Parasite from DC Universe, sucking everybody's powers up and using them.
Oh,
You
Jesus
know,
Christ.
that's a
Come on. Let's not go
awesome
BC on this.
comparison. That's an
Okay.
awesome comparison. So
Oh,
yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
beautiful. All right. Chip, you got anything?
I really don't know anymore.
We, we blew his spot.
Nothing new, I guess.
We've
He
gone
said, "You
very in
said
depth.
everything I've said and more." So,
Okay.
but
Well,
good chapters, I think.
yeah, I'd say so too. I mean, they've been a lot of fun,
I
especially with
mean,
all the new techniques we've been seeing. It's nice.
I will think about the whole concept of the ankness, the darkness, uh, the whole concept of void, and I mean, how I am. It gets deeper with me, but
Yeah.
I mean, you see that in the thing. I mean, I don't think I'm saying anything that's not already presented in the material, but the whole concept behind his power is like, you know, blotting out, taking away something, emptying something. You don't have a name anymore. It's like, oh yeah, I'm cutting your power in half. And logically, when you think about it, the next extent would be, yeah, I'm taking it entirely away from you. So
Uh,
yeah, he's pretty much taking your name, took the name of Box Sword to the point that this guy is stuttering because he's like, I don't, what the hell was I just gonna say?
yeah.
This thing
Exactly.
has no name. And he took the name away from Box, apparently his Quincy cross. So
Yeah.
that's a whole nother issue, to the point that Bach had to use a power that was inherently of his own self and not Quincy related, which means everything Quincy related apparently has to be directed through that cross, I guess.
Uh, yeah, but
So whatever he
uh,
does, I guess at this point, is going to be entirely of his own ability. I get, but then again, if all Quincy's powers comes from him, it would stand to reason that maybe he just can't do the weapon construct thing.
Yeah. Then he won't be able to
Focus.
create any of his arrows.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
But he has other stuff like the Quincy spells that we haven't seen a lot of.
yeah,
Unless, of course, this new Sanct Alter is one of them, which I could kind of see.
yeah. I mean,
something about a holy altar. Yeah, it looks interesting. I can't quite tell what it's supposed to do, but
but
okay.
I would agree with you at your earlier point, about the Bankai. I want to see it, but I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that's what I've been thinking. Like, I don't think it's necessary at this point to like.
Yeah,
It's kind of like when people were asking for Kenpachi's Bankai back when we saw Shikai. It's like he doesn't need one. You
yeah.
people, he's
I
already got a Bankai
think
level power just
there
sitting there.
is I think there are certain people that it's okay for us to know that they have a Bankai, but it's also okay for us to never see them. And I think those people are literally the Royal Guard.
Yeah, just them. Their Shikai is like fine by me.
Yeah,
That's all I need, honestly.
yeah, I think it'd be over, like I think I said before, I think it'd be overkill. Anything that they would come out with, I don't think that's, albeit necessarily, if you have a Shikai that can basically take away names, then I don't know what you would. I mean, what do you stop? Oh, I released my Bankai. Now there is no existence. You don't.
Yeah.
Like
I
you
read
don't exist
His
Bankai.
anymore.
Bankai his Bankai clearly changes, like, can remove the name of, everything, of like the Soul
Yeah,
King.
no,
Yeah,
his Bankai reverses the Big Bang. The end.
yeah. Like so. Then that got me to thinking.
Oh, wonderful.
That got me to thinking about the other Royal Guard as well. About I was kind of like trying to link stuff with them. I'm like looking up the Japanese five elements, and I'm like, I don't know if I see what I'm thinking I'm seeing here, so I'm gonna let that alone unless it presents itself. And I'm sitting here looking at what we know of them, and I'm like, okay, Tanjiro, controls water. I'm like, but then his Zanpakuto seems to be something light based, and I'm like, I don't know. And then yeah, Hikafune can grow food and cook food, and I'm like, I don't know what her Zanpakuto does yet. And Noetsu, well, he makes swords, but
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm a little lost in the dark. I'm hoping to see a little bit more because I have a feeling that if we saw more of what they do the rest of the Royal Guard, we'd be like, oh my God, yeah, these guys need to stay all up in the Soul Palace and never come down.
Yeah.
Bach was stupid. He should have stayed in Soul Society and finished destroying it. Like,
Pretty. Yeah. Foolish fool. That's
and,
him.
th- and essentially that's what I thought was really originally going to happen. I thought that the whole thing was we're going to destroy Soul Society and that was, what was it? Destroy it in what? How many days? And that was essentially the plan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
The
what
ever
is all this
shifting
extra?
plan.
Yeah, what is all this extra stuff? Like, let's go to the Soul Palace now. Like, come on, stay where you are, continue to fight. Don't take all the power away from all your other combatants because we have other combatants and we waited 10 years to see them do something. Bring Unohana back.
Tears in your eyes.
Yeah, bring Unohana back.
Leave
You know,
Brittany alone.
somebody should have the power to resurrection, or maybe she's not dead because Kenpachi knows fuck all about healing. Like
Yeah.
I doubt he checked any vitals. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
She's dead. Her eyes are closed, so she's dead.
She's dead because I'm Kenpachi and my sword kills everything except for the fact that she's Unohana and she was owning you that entire fight. So
Bruh. Uh,
my money's on her.
well, anyway, I think we've about run our course on this. I mean, I think we covered just about everything in these past two chapters. So,
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to hear Shippy's idea.
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
any?
Yeah. Do I have any?
Oh, okay.
Ichiban is badass.
Really?
I think we all would agree with that.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like this fight might be one of the better ones of the series as a whole, just because it's been so over the top and so like mano a mano
I
that
I
it is really good. It's really
I
good.
I I will say though, now that I think about it, that you brought it up, I kind of feel upset about this whole thing because he's having the fight with Buck that I expected Yamamoto to have.
Oh yeah,
And the fact that we kind of as readers I felt got robbed of that for this quick one. I think that's what the problem is with a lot of people that had issue with that whole thing is there was no closure to that. If we had a rock'em sock'em real fight like that and Yamamoto ended up getting cut in half and died, I would be like, okay, well, he did his best, but that's not what happened. So
got tricked.
I'm a little. I mean, obviously his powers are a little bit more up there, refined, but Yamamoto, of course, has got all the attack powers, so. I think maybe if he had stayed out of the fight in the first invasion and came out in the second invasion and came against Buck, then it probably would have been a different circumstance. But
Yeah.
I mean, hindsight's 2020. I'm not writing the thing Kubo is, so I have to accept it, even though I don't have to like it. Just like I don't
uh,
have to like Unohana, but
but you do. you mean her death, not her character. I'm like, but you
Yeah,
like Unohana. Come
I
on.
love Unohana. She was one of my favorite characters there, and
Well, she
what
was
happened what
badass.
happened to her, I'm sorry. And Kubo, I love your work, but what you decided to do with her, that was, I think that was,
Damn
I think
publishers.
that was,
God damn
I would say that was a
publishers.
disgrace to her character, and
Yeah,
and the potential
Mm-hmm.
that she could have brought to the entire storyline, because logically speaking, and I think everybody probably would agree, you don't even have to have that much of a military background. Logically speaking, and you're in the middle of the war, it doesn't make any sense to send two of your best assets, probably one of the most proficient swordsmen you have, to, fight with another one, and not another one of your assets, and get killed by him and stuff like that in order to empower him. And not to mention, she's also your greatest healer. Like, it kind of, I was just like, that's not logical. So, yeah, I have an issue with that.
of course.
And the
But
fact that I have an issue that all of that disturbingness that comes from her real personality could have been unleashed against the Quincy, and it would have been amazing to see her just cutting a swath of bodies alongside.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
a swap, a whole thing of Soldat and Quincy's all over the place, just limbs all over the place, and yeah, bloody guts and all the things. Her side by side with Zaraki, just wrecking everybody, and nobody knowing what to do. And then, oh, Grimmy comes out, and they both destroy him utterly.
burner
Like,
finger. Where's my fingers?
yeah,
Ah!
basically. But maybe that would have been too overkill. Maybe that's why he did what he did with her.
Yeah,
Uh,
so that you
Too much
can
of
go so
a
you went through all 32 Stern Ritter in one chapter. All right, come on. You know that's how it would go down.
maybe she would have been too overkill, because now that I think about it, with all the power that Aizen had, soon as she showed up, realizing that, oh yeah, I knew you were alive because this thing is fake. Soon as he showed up in the the agent, the Soul Society arc, he's like, okay, yeah, I'm making my exit.
Yeah, he's like, bitch,
Like,
I'm out of here.
I don't want
Screw
none of her.
this.
I don't want none of her crazy ass, because I know who she really is. Like,
That's pretty much how it went
that's how I
down.
took it. That's how I took it. I literally took it that way. I mean, it took me to that point where she revealed her who she really was, but I went right back to that, and I'm like, yeah, Aizen did make a quick getaway.
Yep,
And
yep.
I'm like, why? She's the person that heals. Why is everybody scared of her? And now I know why.
Now we all know
Yup.
for all time.
So yeah, that was
Gonna go back to some third Phantom shit here. Clone Unohana, the fake one ended up being very accurate.
uh
The one that made Squad 11 members shit their pants in fear.
Well,
even
she also did that in canon, as I recall.
yeah, they were. She comes in there. She says, "Don't something about them acting rowdy in the fourth division's hospital,"
Oh
and she
yeah,
gives them a
yeah.
smile and tells them to, and they're just like, "Ah!" And I'm like, "What
Ah!
the hell is happening here?
Oh
Like, why are
yeah,
we scared of her?" Like, it didn't make any sense at the time, and now you understand she's the original Kenpachi, and these fools. I mean, it's so funny because now that I think about it, I don't think she's ever had a one-on-one moment with Zaraki in the entire
nope.
history of the series.
They've been in, like the same
They've
room.
never,
That's
yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
they've been in the same room, but they've never really interacted together. And now they have all this history with each other. Like,
Yeah,
you're the little kid that stabbed me, you bastard. He's like, and he's like, okay, now you understand why she wears her hair on the front, and that was some really
Yup.
remarkable grabbing from the past type things. You made a history out of it. There was previous things that happened before you created that history that led you know that that history kind of may have existed, but you didn't know what happened, and then you explained it.
yeah.
So
I'd say
that
that part
was
was
that was
pretty
good.
good storytelling on
Yeah,
his part.
that was good writing. That was really good writing. I was a little bit surprised about that, because I recognize that we probably take it a lot serious than most people do, and that it's a shonen manga for like 10, 12-year-olds or whatever. But the fact that he can get a little deep like that, that's amazing. And
Yeah,
I just wish he would do. I just wish he would do a little bit more often, and not be so beholden to other other people's timetables and whatnot. So
Yeah, I know. Like, when he wants to, he can do it. It's just that sometimes he doesn't want to.
I think I've said before, imagine how in-depth Bleach would be if it was a monthly manga instead of a weekly manga.
Oh God.
Then
Oh, I remember. I just remembered something that we didn't actually cover. Oh shit, shit, shit.
What?
what?
Um, we didn't cover this new Blute.
Anaben?
Th-
I mean,
what? Yeah, we didn't actually get into that one,
well,
did we?
to be honest, it's not like it's
Not
not quite as like much of a huge reveal as like what Blute Artery might be.
Yeah, no,
But
it's just kind of weird. I don't know this Blute Vanny on Hubba. It's
well
it's that freaking like
when
yeah,
shield.
Blute
when you
Venom
think
outside the
of
body.
Yeah, when you think about it, it's not that far-fetched. I mean, you have Blute, which basically you push Reshi through your vein, the Quincy push Reshi through their veins, and thus hardening their ability. The interesting thing is we have not seen Blute Artery and since the first time of it being used, which is really odd because that's the thing that empowers you. So it's kind of like, okay, why is anybody using that when they're fighting?
Well, yeah,
But
like so no one's used it
yeah.
at all. It's
And
crazy.
the blue vein, I don't see people using that really either. But the new blute that Bach was using, it actually coincides with actual blute vein because when you think about it, you have blute that's oh that's protective on my body. You hit me with something, and then you have this other one where it extends outward, making a force field, and it sustains itself by consuming that around it. So it's not far-fetched at all. I mean, it's kind of odd that they would have such a thing, I think, because if Blue Vein works the way that it works, then why you need a shield that extends outward? Because the Quincy don't seem as the type of people that want to protect other people. I would see making a force field that big to protect somebody,
Well, it
like
wouldn't. It,
like
it wouldn't be
like
protective, would it?
Orihime.
Because it
Yeah.
consumes everything around it. So it would protect the user, but not anything else around them. So it's kind
Okay.
of like
So then yeah, I think Shiffy is right. It kind of makes no sense when you just have boot vein. Understand the point of having something maybe for something that you don't want to come that close to you.
yeah, I'd say so.
It's
I
like
mean,
blue vein
he's
will
he.
protect your body,
Well,
but not your clothes.
that's the thing, right? Like he used it to stop the Hyaparonkan, and to my knowledge, that Blue Venom would
That would
have
have,
stopped that because it's not like an attack. It just goes through your body and pins you to something.
yeah. That's
So Blue
it's
Venom
a
wouldn't work against that. I
yeah,
don't think.
it's a bakudo, so it'll probably like bind you or incapacitate you in some way so you can't move or whatever.
Yeah, so
So
there's your usage for it. It's for like non-damaging attacks and stuff,
yeah,
just to destroy it.
makes sense.
But anyway, I think we've run the gamut here.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
think so.
if we're gonna end, I'll leave the lovely viewers with this theory I found on how this fight's gonna end, or how Ichi's gonna die. With Ichibe saying, "Oh, you found my weakness. I'd forgotten to dot my I's," and then Jujuman saying, "Oh, you didn't know? All Quincy's are grammar Nazis."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then it ends.
Uh-huh. That's different.
I
I
think
think it ends with Ichigo showing up in the nick of time, which is kind of funny because it seems like this is taking place in minutes and it didn't take them long to get up there, so I don't know where Ichigo's at. Like
they made a pit stop.
this is the longest travel up
Uh,
ever. Like they needed a map to get there. I'm like, come on, really?
yeah, you got to navigate through all that empty air, I guess.
Did you need a map when you were daggone freaking falling like a rocket? Like, come on. It was kind of ridiculous.
All right.
You would figure somebody would open up one of the royal guard would have opened up a portal so they could get there because Boxy would be doing that with every one of his men.
Yeah, all the important ones.
And the Soldat.
Yeah, and Soldat.
That got
They show it twice. Once to get wrecked, once to fight the other guards.
yeah, and then they got freaking boiled to death in the water.
Yeah. Anyway, so should we sign off?
Yep.
Okay. Well, yeah, this has been the podcast. I'm Zill.
Son, Sal.
What? Son,
I
how you
And
how
I
you
I'm
really just
changed?
did that. I really just did that.
Son, how you changed over
Jesus
the
Christ.
past 2 weeks.
I'm channeling the spirit
And
of an Irish girl.
Hey, you changed gender
and
and sex.
Yes.
I'm I mean Shiffy. I don't want to be Kami. I'm sorry. I just don't.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We're an
It's just-
amalgamation of a bunch of different people.
yeah. Let's sign before we get any further into bullshit. Bye.
Bye.
We stand in awe before that which cannot be seen.